Cancer. This is your November 2023 soul story. If you have a sun rising or your moon is in the sign, this might be resonating for you. It's Romy. Thank you so much for taking the time to join me on my channel. We're opening up the month with the energy of the sun. I love this for you. I actually feel that the energy of November is one that's going to work really well for you. There are oceans of possibilities, and I think you're prepared to flow with it to a degree, even though there's a sense of, you know, moving into the unknown, but you seem to kind of have this attitude and outlook where you have an open mind and an open heart, and that sort of cracks something deeper by way of the insights that are revealed to you. So it's exciting, and you know, at times you may feel like you're slightly out of your depth, but you know, the richness, I think, of the experiences and the opportunities that are coming through feel like they continue to steady you, you know, so that influence creates a sort of calmness and connects you back to your center. So we have Saturn stationing direct in Pisces on the 4th of the month, and you know, we've learned some hard lessons. I mean, it's been a tough year, but it's made you tougher, and you know, it's been necessary to kind of bring about that resiliency, because what it's now meaning is that you are in a position to fight for what moves you and what matters to you. And as the floodgates open and things that have been held up or have felt a little stagnant or difficult are now set to sort of receive this new wave of inspiration, okay? But we do have to come at it from a perspective of, okay, I know that there are changes and adjustments that I now need to make, because I've learned, and perhaps I learned the hard way, you know, the impact of doing things that were not serving me, or, you know, that were kind of taking me off in the wrong direction. Remember, you know, we manage our way through the pathways by allowing the consistency to be what guides us. Yeah, it's like, it doesn't matter how small the action is, it's all the decisions and the actions that you've taken that have added up to you looking towards the future and what it is that you're trying to build. So 2 of Cups comes in. Now we've got Venus shifting into Libra on the 8th of the month, which also brings a more harmonious tone. And it does feel like there's something worth celebrating. Their passion's running quite high this month. And I think what you're looking for, especially in Scorpio season, is who's all in, because nothing less will do. You know, we are lighting up your 5th house. So your heart chakra is like blowing wide open through November. And, you know, you're just looking for people who have that same energy and passion and vitality and exuberance. And, you know, that's no mean feat, you know, considering, you know, the significance of the challenges and how arduous it's been through the course of this year. But November does deliver something a little bit cathartic and refreshing. So we feel like we've got a bit of a second wind. And so in the important connections, whether they be love matches or not, what we're seeing is an opportunity to kind of bring more positivity and healthier attitudes to the table, which make for much more progressive conversations. At the same time, we need to remember people will do what they want to do. And, you know, if that is feeling like it's not in alignment for you, it'd be easy to get frustrated. It would be easy to feel distracted or dissuaded by that. And there's something about what November wants from you, Cancer, that we have to keep going regardless. So whether they are going to catch up, whether they need to go do them, you know, whatever it is that's going to have to play out, I don't want you getting burnt. I don't want you kind of, you know, being so rigid in, you know, the expectation that you have or the potential that you see, that in some ways you end up kind of holding yourself back, okay? So we're going to welcome the 1111 portal in November, and we've got a really interesting Mars opposite Uranus aspect landing on that day, which, you know, is interesting. It creates this kind of almost like tug of war energy where there are competing ideas and forces, and that disharmony in some ways can be really beneficial because it also helps to clarify our position over something. Now you have the star coming in. Lots of beautiful cards this month to open up with. And there's something around your sense of recovery and a renewal of hope. And I do think it's because we have this wave of inspiration that hits early on in November that, you know, is perhaps the thing that you felt you've been waiting for. You're like, this could be the answer. This is the thing. And so, of course, we want to use that as we're manifesting in the rituals and, you know, what we're activating through that portal. Now, Mars with Uranus, but remember, Mars loves to shock as it connects to Uranus. So the information that lands, that comes perhaps from your higher self, from other realms and dimensions, there's very galactic energy with Uranus in that 1111 portal. So the news and information that comes through could be incredibly surprising, but at the same time sort of makes sense to you because you're in a place where you're now ready and able to hear it. But you may also hear things just more on the physical, earthly realm that are also quite shocking or surprising to you. It's an opportunity at that 1111 portal, and I've got a really beautiful energy activation, so please check it out. Which is linked below for you, okay? But what you also want to remember, it's not just about what you are setting intentions for yourself. We really want to understand that we're at this critical crossroads moment, and there are multiple timelines that are being shown to us, and it would be very easy to look into the darkness and see some of the more dystopian, difficult things on the horizon looming towards us. And we can anchor into the light. And the sun and the star to me is telling me that, you know, you, through the month of November, have a powerful role to play. You're leading by example. You are being able, in spite of your circumstances, in spite of your hardships, still able to reach for and access some of that positivity, some of that hope, some of that eternal understanding of how the light carries us. And that's critical. So we remember this around the 1111 portal, and we look to think about what we want, not just for us, but for the earth, for the collective energies. The new moon in Scorpio arrives on the 13th, 20 degrees. And again, we've got another opposition with Uranus, so it's a slightly erratic, somewhat unpredictable energy and behavior. But again, this extreme awakened sort of feeling is all around it. Remember, Scorpio is giving us the opportunity to reinvent and to rebirth powerfully. So outside of our solar returns, it's the one season where we really get to be curious and experiment and kind of give ourselves the opportunity to step forth into a different type of experience. You've got the 10 of Pentacles coming in here, so there's definitely a sense of accomplishment and culmination coming through. There might be some important family dynamics and matters being discussed in and around the 13th. You seem to be the voice of reason. So in spite of what you might be coming up against, especially if we have some competing ideas and forces and some unpredictable behavior, although perhaps not that surprising, I still see you being the one that can kind of draw in a more harmonious environment with which to have conversations. Now, even though there could be some intense interactions, I do think they're helpful, and I do think that they lead somewhere. Okay, this month is very much about us all having the freedom to change our mind, to change our heart, to change our way of life. And, sometimes we forget that we can do that. We can give ourselves that right to say, actually, what I believed in, what I stood for, what I held value in, what held meaning to me is changing. It's evolving because I now know more than I did yesterday, and I have to kind of move with that energy. And this is why this kind of ocean of possibility is feeling exciting, but at the same time, yes, at times out of your depth, because you're like, oh, what does that mean if I'm letting go of all of these beliefs that I had or these things that I stood up for? What am I fighting for now? So there is this kind of deeper question, this soul-searching moment that seems to go on in the beginning part of November for you. And much of it is also rooted in your sense of security. And so I would be questioning within yourself, to what degree is this belief rooted because I need to feel safe and secure? And if that was there because I'd already nurtured and nourished and cultivated that experience within me, regardless of what was happening outside of me, how would that change what I want, what I'm seeking, how confident I feel I am, or the risks or the boldness or the bravery I'm willing to bring to the table? So you're asking yourself big questions and you'll get big answers through the course of this month. But the rebirth that takes place it's beautiful, it's surprising, it's powerful. And I think it's also set through the course of November to bring in some really incredible people who are also showing up to remind you. They're showing up to remind you, Cancer, what it means to live differently. What it means to find a sense of beauty and stillness, of gratitude and love. And, you may be adept at kind of managing that experience for yourself. But if you've forgotten, or if it's become quite jaded or disillusioned, then crossing paths with people, however fleeting in the interaction, will be very powerful. Now, the Hierophant comes in at the center of your reading, and this really supports this overall feeling of what have we learned, because this is the teacher here, and we're the eternal perpetual student, aren't we? But you're receiving some divine activation here, and it's probably as a result of a specific relationship dynamic and situation as well. Remembering, again, not necessarily romantic, but somebody that's had a huge influence and impact on you through the course of this year, and something about November helping you to really reflect upon that. How do I want to change as a result of these teachings and the wisdom that's been imparted and bestowed upon me? And this is about sort of finding that balance between, what works, what has always been, what, necessary sort of traditions or, things we still need to honor and respect, but at the same time is bringing forward the uniqueness, the essence, the things that you see for yourself that are going to be what helps you to create the life and the future that you're driving towards, that you're working towards. Okay, now we have a really lovely date coming in on the 17th where Mars trines with Neptune, as does the Sun. The Sun will also conjunct with Mars. So this kind of beautiful little intimate conversation taking place with these planets basically means that you are not only drawing inspiration. Remember I said this is a new wave of inspiration for you, which might even see some of you wanting to invest and learn something new. Yeah, the curiosity, the desire, the hunger to kind of be informed and to seek knowledge that's going to support you, not just now, but, moving forward. And the thing to be aware of is November also delivers, in my opinion, an incredible insight into the energies of 2024. I think that's when we get a really powerful preview. So that can be quite exhilarating and tantalizing, even in terms of some of the sort of fragments and the pieces of the puzzle that might be showing up. Even if you can't quite make sense, you sort of have a feeling, I think this is where I'm going to be pulled, or these are the things I think I'm going to be working on. And again, that might pull you towards the desire to want to seek and expand and open your mind in new ways. But in addition to the inspiration, the hunger for the wisdom, and that Neptunian influence and sort of opening our mind up, especially spiritually speaking, to other realms, other dimensions, other energies, we also have this action that comes with Mars. And this is wonderful because it means that through the course of November, you're prepared to take inspired action deliberately, decisively, and it matters. It matters because it kind of sets you up, not only just before, we make our way toward the end of the year, but also for the early part of 2024. And so where you feel inspired, even where it feels like it could be a little much to take on, I think you can still ride high on this sort of sun energy. So yes, the Ten of Wands sort of brings in that sense of responsibility or duty, but in a way that can also be powerful because then we know what we're fighting for. Yeah, we know what moves us and what matters to us, and we keep going. And we know that it's a tough journey ahead. We all know that. We can see it. Yeah, it's no walk in the park right now. But we have been given through the course of this year, as unfair and unjust as it may have felt personally at times, the necessary skills, the necessary resiliency, tenacity, adaptability, strength, grit, all of it. And what we see is, as we sort of move through November with the refreshing, more cathartic feeling that it's sort of bringing about, is an acceptance from you that's like, okay, we're doing this. This is what's happening. This is where I'm going. And you might surprise yourself in feeling that, you know, I didn't think I would be up for this given what I've just been through, but actually I'm ready to take this on. I'm ready to do this. And so however that's kind of coming in for you in your work, your relationships, in areas of your life that have felt difficult, you know, you sort of get that second wind and that energy to kind of push through. You know, he's sort of at the helm of the ship here. And so you are in charge of this, and you do need to remember you are an active participant in your journey. And it's going to happen because you're going to make it happen. Okay. Now, as the sun shifts into Sagittarius on the 22nd, Mars moves into the sign on the 24th, you know, we have more space, more freedom. And I always love the conversation that happens with Scorpio Sagittarius changeover, because Scorpio takes us deep. Yeah, we get right to the heart and the root of it. We go right into the shadow. And, you know, we're not afraid to face and then sort of come up from the murky underworld and really allow that rebirth to happen. And Sagittarius, you know, fires in and sort of gives us this huge big picture, shows us what's on the horizon. And the combination of these two is just so powerful because it helps you to make sense of your journey and of yourself. And it gives you that intimate, accountable awareness with Scorpio. The truth will set you free. But then also, like, how does that fit in with the bigger picture? What is my place here? What is this purpose? Why did I go through this? How is this going to serve? And, you know, as you come into 6th house energy of Sagittarius, you know, for you, Cancer, then it is very much about the way you're making your way in the world and how you're showing up. But it's also about how you support yourself in that process. What do I need on a personal level to be able to kind of continue to do the things that I love? And so there's big decisions being made for you toward the end of the month in regards to that. Now we have this full moon arriving in Gemini on the 27th of the month, 5 degrees. It's opposite Mars. So we do feel somewhat challenged. We feel like we have to defend or to justify, especially because Mars will be in Sagittarius. Our right to explore, to have our own space, to sort of have that freedom. And I think that around that time, you know, you are being asked to kind of recommit to something, but I still see you having a really powerful voice. And remember, Gemini does help us to express and in new ways. So you might find a different or a better way to communicate something around that full moon. But it'll also bring with it some revelations and some truths. And sometimes we have to decipher as to what's the false narrative and what's the realness that sits at the heart and the core of this. Because, you know, Gemini in the shadow can bring that viral, gossipy, you know, kind of false, scandalous energy with it. And so, you know, we want to take the higher timeline. I see you doing that because I do think that, you know, you have the discernment and the awareness to kind of see through something. You're almost given that X-ray like quality that helps you read the intentionality and the agenda of different situations and people. But overwhelmingly, I think around that full moon, you find a better way to say something. So again, if someone's struggled to kind of understand what you're asking or where you're coming from, you know, you seem to find and strike the right note. And again, that will help you to feel freer. And perhaps again, tie into this idea of giving you freedom to change something. Okay, so if you're new to the channel, Cancer, our last 3 cards we cover in the extended version. Talk for another 30 minutes or so, more into this main reading, but also we look at a personal question and a relationship card for you. So I hope you'll join me if it's resonating. I'm going to go ahead and clarify these cards and see some of the messages that we will be exploring in the extended. Now, along with the 11/11 activation, really feeling into dragon energy through the course of November. I've got a couple of decks for us to use, but also I've created a Dragons of Light guided meditation. So please do check this out. They are here to guide, inform, to teach us, and really open our mind. Yeah, they're not coming in on a fluffy, sensitive vibration. They're coming in quite hard hitting and no nonsense. But if you already work with these energies, or you're curious, please do explore. It's a really beautiful journey that we take. Again, you'll find the links for that in the comment and description box underneath. What we also are presenting this month are my seasonal offers. November is the time where you will be able to take advantage across my sacred titles, my deck, my book, Goddess and Angel reports, and also very limited edition number of guide and gift readings that I do every year. These are like one-to-one personal recorded readings that look at the influences for you for 2024. So if you look on my website, on my social media channels, you'll find all the details, and ensure you don't miss out on that. They'll only be on offer through the month of November. Now, all the decks I use are also listed below. We have some powerful majors coming through here. Another Hierophant. King of Wands. Another Sun. Beautiful. Okay, so let's have a look at some of these oracle cards for you, Cancer. So this is my own deck, Life Soul Vision. Let's have a look. We've got Casting Out Constellations. This is the way, this is the work. We have Maverick of the Light, Dancer of the Shadow. And of course, we have an appearance from the Rainbow Dragon and the Wild Rose, along with the dragons here. So just emphasizing they're really strong through this month. I think the portal around 11/11, the new moon in Scorpio, it's going to be an amazing time to really kind of feel their wisdom coming through. Queen of Water. Love that for you, Cancer. Throat energy. Lovely. That throat chakra being activated, like I said, around that full moon. Okay, let's have a look at these dragon oracles for you. Right. Air Dragon helps you rise above earthly matters, communicate honestly. Okay, we'll explore these more deeply in the extended. But finally, what do we have for Cancer for November? Actromis. Okay, beautiful. Very Atlantean, Arcturian energy coming through there. Thank you so much for tuning in. Be sure to check out my seasonal offers, my 11/11 activation and Dragons of Light meditation. I really hope you'll join me for the extended. Thanks for all your support this year. I'll see you again for our final soul story of the year next time. Bye.